Welcome into those who are new to this video thingamajiggy. Normally I'd put this stuff up on the Overwatch channel, but this is more of a casual going over stuff and digging into, because there's a lot of very insightful comments on the Overwatch channel itself, so I want to respond to them in a little bit more of a larger way. This will be going up still on the Sulack Streams channel, so you know, I gotta get my intro a little better here. Either ways, but we'll dig through some of the comments, see what people have said about some of the videos, do some basic replies, and then I'll link to it too over using the Overwatch channel just so you can see what's going on there. There's a lot of comments on the Blizzard admits 6v6 is better if you read their design. So let's pull the video up itself. We go to analytics. This has been one of my most popular videos and recently has gotten a few more views because I think Overwatch at 6v6 was the best way of playing Overwatch, and it looks like a lot of people agree with me. Now, I have heard too, confirmation bias really can be part of it, where everybody's looking for things that they want to see. But also too, I've heard many times that people don't really upvote things unless they actually really believe in them, and they do downvote things if they disagree. So if anybody sees this and is going, well, you just got people that upvoted your video, then my comment is, I think, just better. So, you know, we go off of that. Where is it? There's the video right here. Let's not go over the absolute specifics, but we'll take a peek and sort by newest first. Is that Jig Laser says they enjoyed Overwatch the most in 6v6 for sure. The old days of balance were great, or the old days the balance was great. Overwatch 1 at about season 7 to 18 was the most enjoyable. Yet exactly before Brig was introduced and self-healing abilities. People don't like Brig at all. Which I think that's where like peak Overwatch was, even though everybody complained about it at the time, and that was kind of before Rollock came in. I do agree, in a way. Beer Market 9971 says, if rock beats on scissors enough, it can crack rock. Man, I'll be sure to use this in my next rock, paper, scissors game. Vexer says, Brig broke Overwatch when she was first released. That's why most hate her. Oh, yeah. Oh, I have a lot of stuff on her. Don't worry. You probably haven't seen those videos. It's comments like this, too. I'll point out, this guy is trying to be cheeky, but not really understanding, I guess, the history of Overwatch. When they released Overwatch 2, they said they weren't going to go for counters. So if they want to go for counters, that's totally fine. You can do the rock, paper, scissors thing. But the idea behind most compositions is you can win every single game with any type of composition, all the way up till maybe mid-masters. Maybe mid-masters. Maybe you can get to GM, like people work really hard and play a whole bunch of games. That's totally it. But you shouldn't have a game that is 100% rock, paper, scissors, because then there's no skill, right? I think Flat said it best, where you could teach a monkey to say, when you see Rhine, go Orisa. When you see Orisa, go Zarya or kind of Diva, right? You can, so it's just not a good way of playing the game. This is where 6v6 helps with that, because you have two tanks and that balances it out, but we're not going to make this a direct 6v6 session. Bird staring at me, right? Oh, hi little birdie. I'll show him on screen sometime. Envious says he's only played Overwatch since Overwatch 2 and honestly thinks that having two tanks would be an absolute nightmare and very unfun to play against. And unless you want to buff supports and or nerf tanks, he doesn't think it would work with how the current abilities work. Well, that's exactly it. And most people like to say too that Overwatch's heroes have changed quite a bit since this time. They really haven't. Buff supports, my man. The comments for a lot of my videos are of people who they're either not that good, they're really, like, the average person in my comments is like silver, but so they have a very limited scope of like what they're playing. But when you put somebody in like a casual environment, some stuff does take over and makes it really hard to understand like what the actual balanced direction of Overwatch is. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like this guy has never experienced having less powerful tanks. So the possibility of having less powerful tanks is just completely beyond. Two babies who wanted 5v5 can enjoy the game. much easier now. Yeah, exactly, those noobs. I think Overwatch 2 would have been better. We kept the changes and reworks, but with smaller tank health pools in a 6v6 format. Most of CC was gone, and the abilities tweaked for faster paced meta dive. 5v5 was a rush job. Absolutely. So if you're crying like a little bitch for 6v6 and not want to give... 1 second. Let me... This... at Divizzy. Let's take a look at this comment. So, if you're crying like a little bitch for 6v6 and not what they give us and what they have in the game, just don't play the game. People nowadays are always complaining about stupid things instead of complaining about good things. Because we want to complain about good things? Dude, it's just 6v6. Get over it. Man, they can change it whenever they want, even though I'm having fun with 5v5. I know. To be honest, I'm having fun right now, 5v5. A little bit crazy, you know. Sure, dude. I appreciate the comment, though. I do appreciate the discussion. That's part of it. 6v6 was bad. True from beginning to end. Aw, thank you. We won our 6 damn rights. Tomito's voice is being heard at this point. Anybody? Let's take a look. There's some bigger comments here. So, boo, hiss. What is this? I didn't see this. Oh. Did we do this? Vexer? We watch Rex Overwatch's video? A Rex Overwatch classic? Give me a second. We'll take a peek at it. What does he say here? Boo hiss. You didn't have a 1v1 Biggers around. Isn't that a 1v2? What did I say? Tanks. Now the bandage to that is 2-2-2. And I do think 2-2-2 is a better way of running the game. I think most people do. But we can't get rid of the philosophy of balancing for uniformity. What is he commenting on? Didn't have a 1v1 Biggers around. Isn't that a... I don't understand this 7v7. What is he just like commenting? Okay, we'll take a look. Let's actually review this video and see what he says.
Okay. Hi, Samito, or anyone. This is a response.
Well, I'm not Samito, but...
The response. So, I got to thinking about it, and what I say is true and everything, but let's consider these two scenarios. Okay, so
Hero 1. Hero can kill all enemies on the map, is a ghost camera. Hero 2 gives damage multiplier to all teammates, is a ghost. These heroes can't enter the top 10% of the ladder, but hero win rates more. What is he talking about?
Always take examples to the extreme to make sure that everything works. So, we're going to make 2 new heroes. Hero 1, they can kill all enemies on the map, and they're a ghost. And they have free-flying cameras. You can't kill them. Like, this is just a selectable hero. Invincible, invisible, and they can kill all the enemies on the map with a push of the button. How often can they do it? That's where the balancing comes in. Hero 2, we're going to make a new hero. Gives damage multiplier to all teammates. Same thing. Is a ghost. Invisible. I'm
going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. And I'm going to do it in totally good faith. Okay. When he's talking about balance, you want to pick the absolute extremes, and you want to pick with minimal interactions. Like a spherical cow. Like a spherical cow. Does he think I'm an Overwatch dev? I don't know, man. At this point, I've done more patches than the Blizzard devs have, so Overwatch devs have, so you know. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, because if I wanted to talk about Overwatch from a before, I would talk about it of like 2 hit scan players on a 1v1. Like, what level of health do I give them? Give them a base. Like, all they can do is click on the enemy. And what level of clicking are we dealing with? And so I see that he's going for some kind of extreme version of it, but I still have no idea what he's talking about.
Invincible, can free roam.
How supports killed Overwatch 5v5 a response to my question.
The camera just to see what's going on in the fight. And how much damage boost do they give? This is the balancing mechanic. So I would say that if you could kill all enemies on this screen, if you can kill all enemies on the map, and you can only do it once per match, this hero would be underpowered. If you could do it twice per match, it still may be underpowered.
I can see where he's going.
But, you know, say the ability was on a 3-minute cooldown, then it may be a little too powerful. There's some amount there that would make it, and this is the point, make this hero evenly matched with the high skill heroes. You know, Tracer, Widow, Anna, Lucio.
I'm really lost.
Maybe Sig or Reinhardt, Monkey. The more you have a team full of super, you need to be with a lot of heroes with high skill ceilings. You're right. It doesn't seem fair that these two new heroes should be able to just sit there. We can make them less powerful by changing the damage multiplier, or make them more powerful by changing the damage multiplier. So if you want to do it your way, where brain dead heroes can't touch the top 500, you would have to do this, in my humble opinion.
Wait, what? We're brain dead here. What are we talking about? These heroes can't. What is he talking about? Why is this relevant?
These heroes can't enter the top 10% of the ladder, but hero
Did he just share this video to get a view?
win rates must be published. So if you want to say fine, Moira, right? If you want to say that her skill ceiling isn't high enough, then fine, she can't enter the top 500. They can never balance her, tune her up, you know, buff her up enough to get into the top 500 or the top 10% of the ladder, you know, which is probably like the top 50,000. I don't know, but fine. If you want to say brain dead heroes, you can't buff them to get into the top 500, top 5,000, top 50,000. You must publish the win rates. All that information would have to be public because the people who want to main Moira should know that that hero is impossible to get into the top 10% of the ladder, right? So if you want to make sure that Mercy's not in top 500, make sure that Moira's not there, Brig, or whatever, it's fine. It's fine. I can understand this point of view. But you have to publish the win rates. And they've already said they're not going to do that, which they should. But yeah, to sum it all up, I understand where you're coming from. And if I had it my way, these heroes would exist. And they would be allowed in the top 500. But it's not something I...
And that's how supports killed Overwatch 5v5 in a response to his response. So I got to thinking about it. He stopped listening. So this is why. Let's pull up his video. Go to videos. You know why I bug you guys to do a video every day? Or at least a video, or at least not every day. I bug you guys just to do something on your video every, like to work on it, to really build and create. This is why. I don't even know. He might have some good idea. I've noticed a lot of high elo players are socially retarded, okay? They are actually socially retarded. When they try to explain why they do or whatever they do, they have no sense. They have no way to articulate it. They have no way to break it down. So I don't even know if what this guy said was good. It's just, like, I have no idea. So it makes it bad, obviously, but if I were the king of Overwatch, bridged.
If I were...
God. Oh my god. Oh my god. He went full manifesto. And bro, it tells you when the spelling is incorrect. You right click it. Okay, I feel like I'm being mean to somebody. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I appreciate the comments. I'm sorry, man. We gotta improve something on that. Okay, let's go. Next comments. Sorry about that. I got totally distracted. Let's take a look. If Aaron Keller would have kept his promise of reducing counters, the game might not be so bad. I feel like countering is everything in Overwatch 2 now. I main Ball and was playing a push game with Ball. I was being countered by Brig Zarya. Not the worst counters in the world, but I was doing okay. But our team started to lose. I switched to Ryan for the last minute and steamrolled them and won the game. I'm not even that good at Ryan, but a counter pick was enough to win the game. I'm far more skilled with Ball, but that would not give me a win. The counter pick at a hero I'm less skilled at gives me the win. That is a very common thing we've noted. I think this was less so in Overwatch 2, or sorry, the original Overwatch, when there was 2 tanks. Especially when you have more people, there's more room to make mistakes, and there's more room for your team to make mistakes, and there's more like a dilution of the amount of counters needed to fix a certain thing. Back in the old days, if our team wasn't divey enough, Usually it was enough for one tank to go dive to fix the problem. Now the whole tank needs to switch, and we knew that was an issue before coming into Overwatch, and it is an issue that we're dealing with right now. I agree with a lot of points you made. However, the only argument I would give is both teams are 5v5. What? I agree with a lot of the points you made. However, the only argument I would give is both teams 5v5. I do prefer the old 6v6, and it's annoying that more pressure is on your tank and heals got gigabuff. But it's the same for both teams. Constant switching for counters is super annoying, but you need to be versatile in my opinion if you're playing Overwatch. While I am a DPS and main Genji, there are still many times that I have to switch to Reaper, Cassidy, Bastion, etc. because I'm getting countered too hard. If my teammates aren't playing a good enough comp, keep me alive and producing, it sucks. But that's just how the game is. Counterwatch will always be a thing, and you as a player need to learn to adapt that change. I do agree to the get good mentality. I'm totally fine with that. I fully agree that people need to get good to any type of gameplay that they're playing. The question is, what is the more fun game? What results in the more enjoyable experience across the board? Let me copyright free music so we can. I can listen to slightly something in the background while. And I'll put it quiet enough so if you guys are playing music, that'll play over too. Too loud. Volume mixer. Okay. Yeah, this is just the get good argument, which I fully understand, but I'm not really too on top of. My idea of balance is flawed. How do you balance old Doom versus Widow? By damage, movement, health? Oh, wait, I have to read this. Your idea of balance is wrong. How do you balance old Doom versus Widow? By damage, movement, or health? Your argument is looking at the whole player base and then balancing on win rate? Goats lasted for more than a year. How much longer do you think it should have gone on? The only players that were playing it were players in higher elos. Overwatch 1 is defined by the tanks. Overwatch 2 is currently defined by their supports. Current sports are defined by the rules they play. The NFL is changing rules every year. And a GOAT player does change the game. Brady, Jordan, Chamberlain, Gretzky, Ruth, your argument is not cognate. Which argument? The video full of arguments. What of my comments like this don't give me much to work off of. like give me a reason. Pick a topic that I was talking about. Like, what about my idea of balance is flawed? How do I balance this is called a rhetorical question. What's the point? Right? A rhetorical question is the regular joke you say to your buds, like, have you told your parents you're gay yet? And they go like, wait a minute. No, but it's well, then maybe you should tell them. And it's like there's no answer. Ra-da-da-da-da, you're wrong comment. Exactly. Like, the question, how do you balance a Doom versus a Widow? You can never balance a Doom versus a Widow. Clearly, I don't expect an answer to this question. And it's like, oh my god, okay, buddy. Like, fuck off. Like, it's the non-question. Normally don't watch videos with so many emojis, but this is a nice listen in the background. Aw, it's so nice. I like the sports analogy. The way most sports balance for changing player numbers is by changing rule sets. Whether that's the point system, the yards, the time limit, etc. But it's something Overwatch may need to look into if we keep 5v5. I'll point out something, Vexcore, maybe you have seen this too, especially, being kind of higher tier Overwatch. I find it really weird they didn't adjust the payload speed at all when they removed an extra player, because it means that rather than having 3 people go forward and 3 people stand on the payload, yeah, I just find that really weird. I don't know. That's one of those big things that this guy's talking about, where you change like change the rule sets. There's no rule set change. The largest issue with Overwatch right now is everything is rock paper scissors. The game isn't fun that way because you can't exploit your skill to win matchups. Where forced to change characters is a bad philosophy. IDRM, the payload speed, slower or faster, it heals you and provides movable cover. Use good cooldowns and positioning and you're fine. Oh, I get that. I don't understand. But like, doesn't, to me, I have to see the numbers. And I know this is the number thing from doing our tests. In 3v3s, I have to put the payload speed up, or else people don't even get it to the end every time. They don't get it to the end. The reason why is because you have two people push up, you only have one person pushing the payload the entire time. And then what happens is people get into a fight, and the fight is a 3v2 because two people push up, one person, and then there's a, you know what I mean? Where like old Overwatch, you would have 3 people push up, you'd have 3 people on payload, because the payload is made to have 3 people at its max speed. Whenever I remove somebody from the lobby, I don't always do it, but I find it's a better game when you increase the payload speed just a tiny bit to make up for that lack of like push speed that each player has. I find it weird, and this is where I'm very suspicious with the Overwatch balance. Like, I think they're kind of YOLOing it in some ways, because to me, that's like one of the fundamental things that changes how balanced a map is when it comes to player amounts. Vexcourse is very true. You feel the matches will be so fast unless it is a small minor change. Definitely YOLO. Yeah, definitely the YOLO version of balance. Did I see the Clash map on BlizzCon? I did see it. I saw a little bit. I don't remember too much about it. It was super quick, wasn't it? Yeah, the 5 CP, right? They're like, you know what? 2 CP isn't fun. Let's do 5 CP instead. Okay. It's Flashpoint, but in a straight line map. Yeah, I know. It's the same thing as TF2, right? Where they have different points. It just kept 2 CP in. I'm just saying, you know. I seriously hate Flashpoint. I fundamentally hate Flashpoint, and that's totally different. I will do an actual I'll do another Overwatch section video. I'm planning on doing more recordings, because I've done a bunch of recordings on stream anyways, but specifically for Overwatch, and I'll have Overwatch theme icons and everything, and we'll do a big discussion too about different game modes. I think that's a good conversation, because I hate Flashpoint. For real, if they never fired Jeff Kaplan, the game would be great. I think the game would be better, but Kaplan's an old guard, and he stopped the game from growing quickly. We need a mixture. We need a mixture of the two. We need Jeff Kaplan and we need Aaron Keller working together. So it's literally Pokewatch right now. You play Blastoise Orisa, swap out my Golem for a Raichu. The Blastoise Orisa can win, but needs to be a much higher level than the Raichu in order to win. In a ranking system that's designed to match players of similar skill levels with each other on each role, ass backwards balance philosophy does not work for 5v5. If 2 Diamond 3 tanks players are against each other, how in the world does a level 70 Blastoise be a level... yeah. We have great video, agree with you. Painfully you hear healers so many times. Oh, they replied. I didn't even see. Where did I see this one? Painful to hear you say healers so many times. I would call them healers only when their damage is nerfed. I use the term healers specifically because healing healers are the core of the issue. Unknown Truth, how you doing? Welcome in. I appreciate flattery. Okay, I'm a fan of flattery. All right. Unless you're talking about one of the thumbnails, then you know. Welcome. I'm good. It's another good day. We're going over news, reviews, reacts, and stuff. Today we're going through a bunch of the comments that I have on my YouTube section on my Overwatch channel. That's just a little segment. We'll take a look at some other videos too, but this is a fun one. In advance, I'm sorry for my grammar and know how long this is. Yes, you're right. I would call them all-in-one kit characters at the moment. No damage drop-off for any of them, free out of jail card, and no longer relying on a second support to heal them or use one of their cooldowns to make sure their uptime isn't 100% of the match. Remove support passive. Remove support passive. Get rid of Flashpoint. Absolutely. Please do both of those things. Thank you. Deployable meta is showcasing it well, in my opinion. I mean, how unkillable shit became. Playing in Diamond and above is so shitty these days. When you have people who just press one cooldown, you can't get eliminations off. It's even worse when nobody in my region, EU, is communicating what cooldown they baited, till you know it was down and it's up again and messed you up. I agree that heal botting is too viable at the moment with the heal numbers. About Zen, I used to be a Zen main in 2017, and I agree he is well designed and a lot of fun. But now is the literal devil. Looks at you and you get 25% increased damage for you existing on the screen. Okay, yeah. I think they need to add fall damage for the healers that are insanely good at dealing damage. Ana, Illari, Kiri, Bap, even Zen. I understand it's a shooter game, but it has a MOBA aspect, and support characters cannot be able to out damage and out heal damage unless it's one shots. They need to have one of them. They can't have both. I think this is big for Illari too. Like the fact that Illari can do damage and crazy amounts of healing at the same time is ridiculous. Completely remove her damage or completely remove her healing. One of the two, and she'll be just as viable because the person will have to focus on one or the other. They also like the idea of the honor grenade not do 100% anti-heal. Great video, of course. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's go take a look at the other comments on the other video. We have one of my bigger ones was, where is it? Let's take a look at my Overwatch tier list comments because those got I think I got some heat. Glad you're looking at a perspective from someone who hasn't played FPSs before. Awesome. Mercy is too high on my list because of Guardian Angel and stuff. People massively overrate how hard Ana is. Up until mid diamond, heal dumping is free value. Yeah, I put Ana pretty low on the list for new players though. I don't think there's not big comments here, and the people just fighting about. Hey, Birdie. Okay. Samito is right 66. This is where we got tons of comments. We got tons of comments on this one. 71, and we'll sort by newest so we have that up. Would you play Overwatch if it went 4v4? Vexcur, would you play Overwatch if it went 4v4? Honestly, that'd be terrible. We've done lots of 4v4. Okay, honestly, I would still play it. I would still play it, but it would be terrible. Okay, that 100%. Like we play scraps 4v4s all the time, and it's so much fun, but it's not a very good competitive experience. It would be terrible. All right, we got a huge comment here. Let's take a look. Let's break this one down. In the beginning, you said first. In the beginning, you said that first is the game, then it is balance. I don't know how it correlates to Overwatch because the game is already there. All devs need to do is properly balance it. Wait, that's your man? That's my man. And are you taking that? And I stand by it, referring to Overwatch 2 downfall. Yeah. 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 Balance is a function, not the value. A balance, a bunch of fancy words. You talked about counterplay and powerful abilities. It's just called counterplay potential. No need to call it counterbalance or balance as a function. It's just making it sound more confusing for no reason. I'll be honest on this one. No, calling balance as a function is more important than calling counter. I don't even know what you would call it. Okay. Because if you have a character that's melee and you have a character that's ranged, by default, the function of both of those abilities give the character that's ranged an advantage, right? That is the purpose of that statement. We talk about balance as a function. We are talking about balance that works at a utility, or with utility at its core. If you start with two characters that can one-shot each other, one character can shoot at a distance and one character cannot, then the character that can shoot at a distance, the function of their ability counters the melee character, right? None of the values do, right? The speed or whatever, like, and the distance, because it's all the exact same value. It's all a one shot. You have one health. Now, if you scale that up, you add tankiness to it, right? Then you're adding another function. Health is a function that counters other types of play. Not to go into the depth of that, but we can at some point. Adding some sort of shield piercing ability would help the double shield meta. This is what I recommended. Nah, it wouldn't. Double shield is not about the shields. It's about the sustain where nothing dies. So what do you think shield piercing abilities do? BAP, constant AoE healing, Sigma Grasp, Orisa Fortify. But Orisa Fortify wasn't in double shields. These things alone provide a shit ton of sustain. Shields just removed any downtime there was. But we're talking about Overwatch 6v6. These were not problems in double shields. They weren't even a problem in goats. Anyways. They went to 5v5 because it's easier to balance and easier to understand. That's what they said. It doesn't mean it's the truth. More likely an executive decision to make change for the sake of change because it's a new game. That's not the way anything works at all. It is easier to balance and easier to understand. So it probably is an executive decision to make an easier game to understand. And here's the thing. Okay, if you have a motorcycle and you have a bicycle, okay, and a company makes motorcycles and they release a bicycle, and the reason why they say they release the bicycle is because more people can ride it. It's easier to ride the bicycle. Well, they're not lying. They chose to release a bicycle because they want to make more money. But they're correct that a bicycle is easier to ride than a motorcycle. Games are not about understanding, but not understanding. That is a huge one that we don't consider quite a bit, is when you play a game, you play for the things that you don't know, and you enjoy learning the things that you don't know. I would argue games are about enjoyment. Where does that enjoyment come from? Like, not to be too philosophical, not to be too deep, but if you sit there in a quiet room and do meditation for a good amount of time, you really try and find the source of your feelings. And this is where I feel this commenter doesn't really have a good understanding of the source of their feelings. You stop using loaded words that include a whole bunch of feelings in them. I'd argue games are about enjoyment. What is enjoyment? You need to define enjoyment. And actually, we can define enjoyment like good old Gaben, Gabe Newell from Valve does. Actually, in a recent video, he talks about fun being the response of a player action. So they have a crowbar and they'd be bashing the crowbar on the wall. And if the crowbar on the wall didn't make any sound or didn't make any noise, then they had it was a narcissistic insult that the crowbar wouldn't make noise. So part of the fun is not like people, I don't know, fun doesn't really have a meaning in this statement. But when you break it down, like my statement about games, not about understanding, but not understanding, things that you don't understand, we're on the route to the core of what fun is. We're on the path. Whereas just saying it's about fun or enjoyment doesn't really get us the path. It just says there is a path, you'll get down to at some point. I understand that pretty much everything in Minecraft on the version I play and don't care about finding out more. The gameplay loop and what I can do, the lack of systems hold me back, is what makes me want to play the game. Yes, the stuff that you don't already build. And there's a huge thing that a lot of gamers, I think, don't understand. Maybe it's just, again, it's like a philosophy thing, because people go for games to escape a lot of stuff. So you have people that you have a lot of ideas, and again, personally, I have the experience with this, not understanding what your own personal emotions are. This commenter doesn't understand why they play Minecraft, right? It's about the stuff that you can do with it. Yes, you can understand. I understand everything about this fork. I understand every little function about the fork, but the fork still interests me because of the food that I can put on it and eat. That's the big difference. I'm quite a competitive player, but I don't queue ranked to get better or to learn more. It's just a game that's game at its base. Learning the game adds replayability and is reward for playing. Well, the reason why you play this game and not other games is because of the things that you don't know. When you jump into an environment in Overwatch, when you jump into a game, there are things that are going to happen that you didn't fully predict. So this person doesn't have a very depth understanding of their own mind, I think. 6v6 is the barrier where the game becomes extremely hard to understand. 7v7 could more be complex. 8 more complex. Okay, dude. I don't know if I want to read this. I feel like I'm just going to shit on him the whole time. The reason why Overwatch started at 6v6 is I designed the heroes. That's not how it works. A hero like Roadhog or Ball doesn't work in 5v5 because it was designed with the second tank on the team in mind. Exactly the purpose of 6v6. There'd be an opportunity to cover your teammates' weaknesses. Nope. Now you can't cover the tanks. What is this? Is this guy arguing for me, or is this tank roll is purposeless? It's not. It's pretty much simple. Over a very weird video. Heck. So this is my response. It's best to provide unique perspectives parallel to arguments that make our case. The easiest analogy is the removal of one lane from chess. Is it still chess? If you remove a rook and give the power to a pawn, are you not trying to have the feeling of chess without playing actual chess? Swap it out with any sport. That's a good statement on that. This is a good comment. I had a realization yesterday that there really isn't a 5v5. It's still 6v6, except the 6 character's power has been shifted into support and tank. It's the opposite of Mercy, where a player agrees not to play the game and give up on the character in order to help another character be more powerful. So in 6v6, with Mercy on one team, you have 5 playable characters and 6 people on one team. A 5v5 balance, you have 5 actual players, but the 6 characters worth of power. You lose one player from each side and the agency they would have had to impact the game, but you still represent some level of their impact by pumping the stats into several other characters. We still have the same flaws we do in Overwatch 1 did in the end, and it's harder to fix them. Exactly. Welcome in, Ben. How are you doing today? What have you been up to? We're just going over a bunch of the comments that I have on some of my Overwatch videos. You had your winter concert last night. Oh, performing. This guy also said the same thing. My friend and I speak about 6v6 versus 5v5 and balance all the time. I feel like everyone must realize now that something is very wrong with 5v5 balance. Nothing dies unless the player chooses the Bastion right now. The devs are anti-DPS. I don't like that. That's not really... Devs are pro all the heroes. They don't want to make any hero feel bad. It can't... I can it the full Bobby meta because I feel no one in the right mind... Okay, it's less of a big thought, or less of a complex thought. Okay. Much more other comments, nothing too big. I do want to point out though, there's one comment that floats to the very top. Right here. It's almost like 5v5 was only for casuals and 6v6 was perfect for competitors. Saying this from the start. Yep. Yep. That's all I